Welcome to Teacher Tips with Mr. Long, and in this video we are doing the final video in our 4-part series on how to create a nice workbook in Excel. In our first part, all we did was we did the layout of our spreadsheet with where the students' names are and basically what the different assessments are going to be and their different weighting. In part 2, we did some nice formulas where we calculated the percentage for the assessment. So all we had to do is put in the mark the student got for that assessment, and everything else will be calculated for you. Even if it's a big exam and there are multiple parts to the exam, and the final mark was calculated based on all the weightings. In part 3, we added some funky features, for example, some summaries at the bottom here, for example, the count, the average, the min, the max, and then we did a symbol distribution for the different levels, like that's an A, a B, a C, and so on. So now in part 4, we're going to add just a couple of features which you can add, which can add some nice, like as I said, features, that's why they're called features, to your spreadsheet. So the first one is to make sure that we keep track of like how well the students are doing based on conditional formatting. So for example, you can do this for all of the assessments, or you can do it just for the final one. It's up to you. I'm going to do it on this one, and then you can see where it goes from there. So you can do it on the average or on the mark. It's up to you. But we are going to select let's say we select the percentages. So I'm going to select all of those, that whole row or that whole column over there. And when you come here to conditional formatting, and you can use these, for example, I like to use the color scheme. So we can use color schemes like that and just use the default ones, make it nice and simple and easy. And there you can see the green values are your highest values, and then your red are your lowest, and then your shades of yellow are in between. So you can do something like that. And you can do that for any of your actual assessments. You can use different color schemes if you want. You can even add more rules where you can specify what the lowest color must be and what the highest color. If you want a 2-color scale, or if you want a 3-color scale, you can do that. Or if you want to use data bars and like specific like values and stuff like that. I like the color system. So if maybe you don't like those colors, then maybe you want to do, for example, the lowest values must be some shade of yellow, where the middle of the range would be some sort of green, and then the top would be some sort of blue if you wanted that particular scheme. So obviously don't go too dark, because then you can't see your values. Use the built-in ones because they're normally quite nice. So that's what you can do. Another feature that you can do to make sure that you don't put any mistakes is I can actually select the mark. Now, none of those marks must be higher than that 50, because then obviously you've made a mistake. Maybe you entered in the wrong amount. So you can actually put some formatting in where you say, I'm going to make a new rule. And the rule for this whole block is that the cell's value must be less than or equal to, and then I'm going to refer to that block at the top there, that little block over there. So that G6, none of these marks must be above that. So that's what the rules is. So if that is that, we want it when it's not that. So I actually want to say any value that is not, so it's greater than that value. If it's greater than that value, then it's a problem. So I wanted to highlight it. So that if that's the case, then I'm going to format it and say, let's make it red or something like that. So we're just going to make the full, make it big, right, and red. So it's like that. So that'll tell me if there are any issues. So at the moment, there are no issues. But if, let's say I made a mistake and make, oh, this guy got 56. Ah, no, that's a mistake. You can't get 112%. So you can do that for your different blocks to make sure that you don't type in a value that's above the total, so that you put incorrect data in your spreadsheet. So that's using conditional formatting. So I've gone ahead and done all my percentages using that conditional formatting, and I've also done that little check. So if I came here and say, hey, this person actually got 21, which is impossible because it's out of 20. But if I type in 21 there, it goes, hey, no, it's red. You can't do that. It's not allowed. It's not the right value. So it allows me to, it picks up any errors, and it gives me a nice color code for how well the students are doing. So there I can see the students got lots of green, and then they didn't do so well over there, and they're doing average over there. So you can get a nice little feel for the students. In this one, you can see lots of red, but there they did a lot better. So that's the assessment they did well in. So we must look at improving these other assessments. Okay, so now that we've got that information, another thing we can do is these symbol distributions are very nice if you want to make some sort of chart. So I'm just doing a chart on the final one. You can do them on all of them, but you can actually select this data and actually select and then go to insert, and we want to insert a chart. And ideally you can do some sort of bar chart to get like a bell curve to see what the bell curve is of your particular student. So you can do some sort of bell chart, something like that, where you can see the actual bell curve, like the number of 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s. Okay, so there you can see it. There we go. 1, 1, 1. There you go. 4 is quite high, and so on. So there you go. Nice. You can give it a nice title for the final assessment. You can make it a little bit smaller. You can change the colors if you want, and so on. And then you can just drag it over here so that you get a nice little feel for that. You'll notice it says there 2 series, and that's probably because we've got a merge cell there. So I'm actually just going to right click on this chart and go format the data, or select the data. I'll say I don't actually want that series 2, please. So just series 1, and we can give it a name. And you can go and learn about charts, and you can give it some nice data. But there you can see your basic bell curve for that particular assessment. You can do them for the others as well. And the final feature that we're going to go, and this gets quite technical if you want to do this, it's all about setting it up. And once everything's set up, it'll work for future spreadsheets so that you use, if you copy and use this one, is trying to find stats based on particular groups or classes, for example. So I'm going to look at the groups. I've got a red and a blue group. Now I've got the averages and the max and the symbol distribution for the entire class. But what happens if I want stats just on individual groups? So at the bottom here, you'll see I have a bunch of the exact same. I literally copied all of this and made sure that it's an exact replica. And I'm going to just change this so that we can see that this is the red group over here. Make that bold, and you can change obviously your text direction. You probably want to make it a little bit more so that you can see it. So something like along those lines. You can see this is the red class, and then we're going to format that one to be the blue, but we'll say that is blue like that. So there we got our 2 sections for the blue and the red class. Now how do I change the statistics so that it refers to the red class or the blue class? Now obviously you would need to have all of your assessments across, and you would need to do this for every single one. So let's start with the easy bit, which is the symbol distribution. The only thing I'm going to add here is when we're going to do this count F, after that, before that bracket, I'm going to add another range and criteria, and that range will be this range, wherever your grouping is. And for this one, it'll obviously have to say in double quotes, we want this to be red. So it's exactly the same, except for we've added another range, which is the range where the grouping is listed, and then what the criteria for that range must be. So that would obviously be for that, and you would have to add that for each and every one. You would add this little bit over here into each and every one of these formulas. So at the end of them, you would do that. And that would then work out the symbol distribution for just the red ones. And then for the blue ones, you would do the exact same thing for the blue group, but instead of the criteria being red, you would make it be blue. So you would want the word to be blue, or whatever your grouping's called. And then you would copy that comma with that range and criteria, and you can add that to all the others. So I've gone ahead and done it, and there you can see these are just the blue group, and that's just the red group. Okay. Now, to be honest, we're not going to really count how many of these are red. We can just do a count over there of the reds. I'm not too stressed about the counts. I'm actually not too stressed. I'm going to take that away. But the average, the min, and the max, those are possible by using what's called a average if. And so the average if works. This is the range, this is the criteria, and this is what you must average. So whatever you've currently got, that is your average range. You're just going to simply add in, hey, you remember that range over there? We want that comma to be in double quotes a red comma, and then we want to average the marks. So look at it again. So we had average and then that G7 to G21. All I'm doing is in front of the average, put the word if, open bracket, and then the range where you found the blue and the red, and then say we want just the red for this. And you can do that for all of them. And then so for the blue one, It's exactly the same. Let's look at it. I'm going to say average if, and then in front of the brackets we're going to say, hey, this range of cells, comma, and we're looking for the word blue in that range, comma, then you must average the red column. So by doing that, we've done the average of, that's the average of the blue group, that's the average of the red group, and you can then obviously change all these formulas. Now to do the min and max, that's a little bit more tricky, so let's have a look. So for the min and the max, we are going to use not a min if, but min ifs, and that works slightly different. Now that works, what is the range you want to find the min of, and then your range that you're looking at in the criteria. So it's slightly backwards to the previous one. So we want to find the minimum value in that range, and then after that range we're going to put a comma and say, okay, in this block there we're looking for the, in double quote, red. So look at the formula. So that my original formula was min of G7 to G21. I'm now saying min ifs, comma, that G7 to G21, but I'm adding that E block, look for the word red when you find in the min. So that's the min of all the red group. And then for the blue one, we're going to say, let's try it again, min ifs of that same range, but at the end of that range, we are looking at that range again, so that E7 to E21. And what are we looking for in that? For this, for the blue group. So in double quotes, we put the blue. Remember, all of your ranges and criterias are separated by commas. So there we go. And you would do the exact same thing for the max. It would be max ifs and so on. So you can go ahead and try to do those. So there you go. I've gone and added my min ifs and my max ifs. Now that's obviously only if you want to actually have all your classes or all your different groups in one spreadsheet, but you still want to have the summaries of the individual groups or classes. Then you can do something like that. You don't have to. This should be adequate enough. But so add those lovely features to your spreadsheet. There will be a link in the description of this video where you can get this spreadsheet and you can look at the formulas if you want. But I encourage you to plan your spreadsheet, design it the way you want it, and use this video series to help you make a workable spreadsheet or workbook for your marks. For the previous videos in this video series, go to our YouTube channel, click on that subscribe button, look at the playlist. You'll find a topic that I'm sure can help you. And remember, don't do it the long way, do it the Mr. Long way.